We are the 130th country when it comes to women in politics. Now, this is not a number that I can be happy about, being in politics. Now, to my amazement, the Arab world took a huge jump. Saudi Arabia basically had last year, the king put in 30 women into the Shura Council. Jordan had 18 women come into their national assembly. Afghanistan, if you look at some of the Asian Arabian countries, some of these countries have basically moved forward beyond our expectations. Take our region. If you look at our region, India at the local level, in the panchayat system, there is more than 50%. And it is mandatory for them to have 50%. 15 years ago, it was made mandatory to have 33% of women in the local councils, which eventually proved that their worth and their capabilities, which brought in 50%. And today there is 1.4 million women engaged in the panchayat system, which has proven to be worthy enough because they have basically reached certain goals with regard to education, whether it's water, electricity, infrastructure, and also to eradicate corruption was one of the key elements of bringing women. And this is the reason why they wanted 33% at the national level as well. And 2 years ago, they passed 33% at the upper house, but it is yet to be passed at the lower house because there is a discussion with regard to quota within a quota in India. Pakistan has 22.2%, Bangladesh has 9.7%, Nepal has 33%, Afghanistan 27.7%, the Maldives 6.6%, and we have only 5.8%. And out of the 5.8%, except for me and quite well-known, commonly known as Paba, Upeksha Swarnamalia, the only two who got elected on their own strength. The rest, like Shyama was elaborating about, how somebody would come because she had a tailor-made, ready-made voter base because of either the father, the husband, the brother, or some family member. So this is something that we need to really take note of because in the early 70s and going on to the late 70s, the Women's Franchise Union fought for universal suffrage. And in 1931, we, within 6 months of reaching universal suffrage, we had almost 4.8% of women in the council. Today we are in the 21st century, and 83 years. I'm after about a flu, so please excuse me. My voice is hoarse, as I have been working tirelessly in the election campaign. We are 83 years since we had the first woman in the council. And we are in the 21st century. And like I said, even though gender indicators talk about, put us on the map with regards to education and health, when it comes to the other areas, especially in leadership or the decision-making process, women do not make it for some reason or the other. And this is something that we need to really look at. And I think what Shyama said about, we have different cell groups with regard to it. It's religious activities or perhaps, coffee evenings, coffee mornings, doing fundraising projects. But do we actually take note or take heed of, what's going on and how do we make change? And in order to make change, do we need to make change at the top? And how could we support to make change at the top? How do we basically do advocacy with regard to, bring about the right kind of change? Now, as an example, if I would cite this, I don't know whether many of you would know that I brought in an amendment in September to the local government amendment bill asking for 30% of women, a quota. But it was a single-handed effort on my part. I had very little support from the party itself. And I didn't see very much support from my women colleagues in the civil society. The civil society actors, of course, they make noise. They make a lot of noise. They have various events and functions such as this to talk about where we are, to take note of, what we're doing, and do we need to make change. But when it actually comes to making change, whether they're actually in line with what is happening, whether it's in parliament or perhaps in the other sectors, is a question, because Sharma was quite right. We would always empathize. And, we would say, yes, poor things, they can't get into politics. Now this year, at the last election, this election that just took place a week ago, 3 women from the United National Party was put into the Colombo district list. None of them got elected.